A big snowstorm is getting stronger and an Arctic blast is on the way. So let's take a look at the setup going forward. We've got our strong cold front that's already entering portions of the Texas Panhandle. That's draped across this region. Back behind it, we've got a heavy snowstorm is continuing to unfold. Then we also have a pocket of colder air that's entering the Northeast and a reinforcing shot that's going to be entering that region back into the early part of next week. So let's take a look at some of the snowfall that's actually happened so far. And it's been pretty impressive across this region, up across the Intermountain West. You can see the chart at the bottom of the screen here. Some of these areas in pink have highlighted a foot, if not almost 2 feet there in Wyoming. But we had confirmation it did start snowing in Flagstaff. Now it's actually changed over to snow in the Albuquerque and Santa Fe region, and even as back into portions of Nebraska picked up almost 10 inches of snow. Now the heavier snows are going to be swinging across into Kansas. And yeah, they actually already started there into the Texas Panhandle. That will actually swing over into the western Oklahoma and really start getting its act together across portions of Kansas later on this afternoon. So here is this setup right now. So we've got numerous winter storm warnings, watches, winter weather advisories in place. We've got heavy snows that are elongated into the Fort Collins region, back through Grand Junction. There's the snow even further south into the Santa Fe region. We're starting to see a changeover back into Albuquerque. Now that snow is swung into the Texas Panhandle. Places like into Dalhart, Texas is seeing snow this morning. Starting to see the changeover in Woodward, back into Alva, Oklahoma, and then into the Dodge City region. And that heavier snow is really starting to get its act together in the Great Bend region. And there's Wichita, which I think gets crushed with heavy snow later on today. And that snow will continue to lift northeastward. And some of these snow amounts up here and towards Missouri, as well as even in portions of Illinois, has started to become even more bullish than what they were looking like this time yesterday. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel, and I would love to reach 225,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you can help me get there by subscribing to the channel and following all my daily content. And also check out the POW app as well. So I do have my own weather app. It's nationwide. You can find it in the App Store and to the Apple as well as the Android. So go ahead and find it and download it for yourself. So here's the temperatures this morning. You can see the leading edge. Now, right now, there's that Arctic front and it's somewhat stalled, waiting for this snowstorm to kind of move out. But back behind it, we've got some pretty chilly air, if not some of the coldest temperatures so far we've seen for the month of November, as that colder air will continue to plunge southbound. And it's all complements of this upper level low that's going to originate out here into the Four Corners regions through Colorado. That's entering Texas now. This is going to be your snow line through western portions of Oklahoma here, and then getting into much of Kansas, and then clip the northwest territories of Missouri, go through likely central Illinois, through northern branches of Indiana, and then come up through Ohio and take kind of this path. And to the north of that, if you're on the north side of that, you're in the snow path, folks. And if you're in the south of that, you're going to be seeing some sort of a changeover into kind of an icy, slushy mix of sleet and freezing rain. But then it'll just be a kind of a chillier rain further south into a good part of Texas. So going forward, let's look at the setup here. And what we're looking at here is the overall composite reflectivity. We've got precipitation type and cloud cover. So how you would read this is the blue, that would be all snow, right? And the pink is kind of like your freezing rain, sometimes sleet mixed in. And then your lighter green, that's your light rain. So and there's the cloud cover. So this is the setup around 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's still snowing. It's snowing right now in the Texas Panhandle, and it's still going to snow. And I think it really gets elevated across the western half of the Oklahoma. Places like into Alva could pick up like 5 inches of snow from this system, and it gets cranking up there in Kansas. Yeah, Topeka and to Wichita, I think they kind of hit the bullseye with this one, up with almost 10 to 12 inches of snow likely going to be unfolded across that region. And by 2 o'clock, it's going to enter portions of the northwestern portions of Missouri and then really start to crank up as we get into the evening time frame. So the southern branch of this could actually clip the Oklahoma City region. Maybe an inch could actually get a change over into the Oklahoma City region. Kind of a nicely slushy mix, kind of a wet snows as this will continue to move out. But it's just kind of a chillier rain, not impressive amounts further south. I mean, these amounts are 1/10 of an inch, maybe 1/4 inch at times, if that. But yeah, where the snow is going to fall, and it will be heavy. And some of these areas into maybe like Springfield, likely 3 to 5 inches of snow. That will shift into Iowa, and then I will eventually start to shift into the overnight hours into Illinois. And so by the time you wake up in Illinois, don't be surprised if you look outside your window and see, hey, I got 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of snow on the ground, because that likely will unfold into the overnight. And as you wake up on Sunday morning, they are in a good part of central and northern Illinois there. And that shifts into the Wisconsin region and back into portions of Michigan, and then further south as the Arctic air will continue to plunge. So as this low pressure center moves out, that will allow the southward push and the north wind to kick in with that Arctic blast coming through this region and then traversing across, and everyone be feeling the effects of this cold blast by the time we hit into Tuesday morning, I tell you that. So here's some of the impressive snow amounts with this snowstorm. I showed you what has already fallen so far. This is additional, folks. This is on top of what you've seen with those impressive amounts. So yes, likely going to be ending up with probably 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of snow up there into Santa Fe region, even in the Texas Panhandle. That's crazy stuff. Talking 2, 3, maybe even some areas down towards like maybe Miami, Texas could pick up 4 to 5 inches of snow, and those places into Woodward, into Alva. Yeah, you could pick up 4 or 5 inches of snow in western Oklahoma there. But once it gets into Kansas, yeah, we're going to look at it. Pretty impressive amounts of 6 to 10 inch swath. And I do feel in and around the Wichita, Kansas region is going to be more or less the bullseye. Going to be the overachiever in this, as they likely will see the most impressive amounts from this snowstorm. But yeah, nothing to sneeze up here into the northwest regions of Missouri. A good 3 to 5 inch swath goes through that region into central and northern Illinois, and then it will swing up through portions of Wisconsin as well as into Michigan as we get into that Monday time frame. And then there's the colder air that will come in on the backside. This is what it will kind of feel like to the body. I mean, 11 degrees up there in the Panhandle, down to 24 into Flagstaff, into the teens, into those areas that see the snowpack. Some of these areas could actually feel like below 0. You're going to feel this cold blast. 24 in Waco there, and then that will extend and off into the southeast. Look at Tennessee, middle 20s there. Illinois, that's single digits. You hadn't felt like that cold this so far. We're still November, folks. I mean, so yes, that colder air will continue to plunge south and then will shift east. And notice this reinforcing shot of colder air up here into Canada. That is below 0 wind chills, if not 12 below 0 up there. Definitely chilly stuff. And then as we head into Tuesday morning, most areas will shift off to the south and east, and those areas will drop all well into the 20s down there into portions of Alabama, into Georgia, much of Tennessee, into Kentucky, along the Carolinas here, and then in the teens as you wake up, what it feels like to the body up here into a good part of the mid-Atlantic as well as into the northeast there. So definitely some chillier times ahead. So going forward, there's that, dome of colder air up here in eastern Canada, that's going to shift in. So what we're going to be seeing is kind of a transition. So on the back side, we're going to have the coldest anomalies pull through, and a lake effect type system pull through these Great Lakes regions, and some of that may clip some of the interior portions of western PA, getting into upstate New York, probably not amounting to much, but still some snow across this region as we head into that Tuesday time frame. But it gets interesting heading towards the end of the month. I mean, all this talk about El Nino, and we're like, where has it been? And it's typically a little bit more pronounced in the winter months, and it's almost like verbatim. Remember, meteorological fall winter starts December 1st, and it's almost like clockwork that we're going to have more of an El Nino type setup beginning to take shape as we end November and start December. So here's the setup on the jet stream. By the time we head into that 30th of the month, yeah, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to start to see this southern branch of the jet stream get a little bit more active. We're going to have more, low pressure center falls off this subtropical jet, and that's going to put the heavier precipitation across the deep south. And look at the map that the Climate Prediction Center has unfolding there, kind of showing that El Nino type setup with above average rains across a good part of the desert Southwest, through the southern plains there, and into the Southeast. So definitely looks like a transition to a wetter setup as we end the month of November and as we start December. What we're going to look at is we've had blocking over Alaska and Greenland, but what we're going to see is the blocking over Alaska is going to start to subside. But the blocking continues to remain over Greenland. That's going to allow that funnel effect on the western half. So it's going to be a slow rebound. So after we hit that Arctic blast and kind of bottom out there on Wednesday, by Thursday, we're going to start to retreat. And as it retreats, the colder air pulls further and further back up into Canada, but then the colder anomalies really elongating across our western regions and down there in the southwestern portions of the US. And that's when the heavier rains will start with that more active subtropical jet. So by the time we head into that Thursday time frame, yeah, heavier rains across these areas that are drought stricken across Texas. That will shift into Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama and back into Tennessee. These areas will start to see the heavier rains, as yes, more snow will probably be likely back there into the Santa Fe and the Albuquerque region, into the New Mexico. And I think that just continues to be more amplified as we go into that first and second day of December, as we have that subtropical jet further south pulling the heavier rains, much needed rains across this region. Still cold enough as the cold air will start to retreat. We'll still have a snow, kind of a switch over to some snow across portions of Iowa into Wisconsin and back into Michigan. But really the heavier snows will start to impact a good part of the Intermountain West, but that's where the colder anomalies are going to be starting to take shape. So remember, this is after the Arctic blast. We have a slow warm up. So by the time we hit next weekend, much of the central and eastern 2/3 will be on the milder side, and then much of the west starts to be impacted with colder anomalies coming back for Alaska and along the British Columbia region and off the west coast, and really starts to impact the Four Corners regions, especially into the desert Southwest. And that brings the heavier snows. So the combination of what we have now and then what might be coming for next week really elevates these snows across those regions into the desert Southwest. Places like into Flagstaff, you're not getting a dusting, you're going to be getting 6, 8, 10 inches of snow by then. And then more snow will be falling those regions into Santa Fe, back into Angel Fire there. And then, of course, more heavier snows across our western half of the Rockies and getting back into the Denver region. But look at the drought, right? We desperately need the rain with the more or less the El Nino kind of been on hibernation mode. We still need well above average rains across this region. So definitely beneficial rain. So Arizona, look at the map here. extreme to exceptional drought across New Mexico, across portions of Texas, but especially into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. These areas will likely need it the most. And look where the most rainfall is going to happen. Right. Yeah, there you go, El Nino. Across portions of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, but getting into Georgia, back up to Tennessee. Definitely some beneficial rains as the subtropical jet starts to wake up down there, and that continues, right? So we're going to go into December. We're going into the winter months. Usually El Nino is more pronounced in winter, and it's exactly what we're going to find is the more active subtropical jet. So even after that first week of December, that second and third week of December, subtropical jet from California to the southern half and the desert Southwest through Texas, through much of the Southeast and up here to the East Coast, takes on a more active El Nino type look. And then the polar jet becomes less active. These areas starts to dry out, or they won't get as near as much precipitation by then. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update where I protect you before and after the storm.